Thank you and welcome back. We have with us in the studio Mr. Austin Jack Warner, and we will be continuing in our discussions. Mr. Warner, we were talking about representation. You were saying when you went into the constituency, people were saying, that you still have support, they will stick with you, and they remember when you were there that you were able to deliver. Which leads me on to the question. You formed the ILP. And it's a very young party. And since its formation not very long ago, you were able to win the UNC Heartland in Chaguanas West with 69% of the votes cast compared to 26% of the votes received by the UNC.
That's right.
It was the first time in the country's history a true heartland constituency deserted the party.
In every polling division.
In every polling division.
In every polling division.
I want to ask you, Mr. Warner, why do you think this happened? It was a shock to a lot of people, not in any way dismissing your party's potential and ability, but Chaguanas is the UNC heartland. And not only did you win, you won with 69% of the votes. It created history in Trinidad and Tobago.
And for a long time it will.
And you are the only person, and I'm glad you're here with us today, to answer the question of why you think that happened.
In the first case, I am glad you asked the question. In the first case, and this demonstrates in some sense, again, about democracy. 36 out of 36 party groups in Chaguanas West nominated me to be the candidate for Chaguanas West.
Because under our constitution, party groups must
That's correct.
Nominate you.
I want to repeat this slowly. 36 out of 36 nominated me. I went to VNC complex and sat down with my tail between my legs with 8 other persons to be screened.
I know that feeling.
I could tell you, for the first time, I experienced it. It was painful. No, I believe in it.
It's not an easy thing. But you did what you had to do, to represent your constituents.
Including the Prime Minister's blue-eyed girl who was there, Miss Amin. I was screened. Who screened me? Chandra Sharma, Lamadar Singh, Munilal, Marlene Kudri. Answered all the questions. And lo and behold, they didn't tell me that I was not accepted, They had to make an announcement in a meeting in Pepper Village. I went to the meeting. I stood up in the urine like everybody else to be told that you're not accepted, but the handpicked maiden from Mrs. Prasad Bisesa has been accepted.
Was any reason given as to why?
To this day, no. To this day, no. And therefore, the people who voted for me, to answer your question, the first thing that was done, therefore, was to show their protest against what the Prime Minister had done. I know they did a lot of works. Up to today, contractors haven't been paid. They did work in Chaguanas West, unbelievable, 118 projects in Chaguanas West. They promised them the moon and the stars. They had all kinds of racial slurs and so on against Jack Warner. I still won it.
It didn't work.
It didn't help them.
It didn't work.
Every cabinet minister camped in Chaguanas. Guys who I thought were my friends
became no friends in politics, Mr. Warner.
I know that now. Mickela, you are brighter than I am, I tell you, in some ways. I know that now. In politics, there are no friends. Right? And I tell you, I look at them who ate with me, who drank with me, who shared the same vision with me, coming to Chaguanas West to cuss me.
It's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling. I believe we have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Warner, also.
Yeah, good evening.
Mr. Warner, can you tell the public whether you will be going up, fighting that seat again, and what are your chances for coming out victorious in the next general election?
Mr. Warner?
From now to next year is a long time. 9, 10 months. I don't know what the future holds, whether I'll fight that seat or any other seat, or where, or if I do, what the result will be. Because 7 days in politics is a long time, far more 10 months. What I do know, I'll be going up again, as a candidate, I shall be screened by the party groups, wherever I go up for, and I will go up on an ILP ticket.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, Mr. Warner.
Yeah.
I believe we have another call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Paul.
Good evening, dear.
Mr. Warner,
Good evening.
you said that, good evening. You said that it's a long time from now to election. Apparently, you haven't learned from Mickela here, who you said is very intelligent and more than you, because it is not a long time. It is like yesterday. In politics, there's nothing like a long time, right? You know, Mr. Warner, and you said that you have to be screened, and you did not know that people who were your friends. But it was just like FIFA. Mr. Warner,
my dear, we just, sorry, my dear, thank you. We deeply appreciate your call. I think it's just important that we answer one part of the question. And I think if I could speak and perhaps explain it slightly in a different way, what Mr. Warner meant is that it's a very long time, is that politics in any country, not only Trinidad and Tobago, is extremely dynamic.
That's right.
And things
That's right.
very, very fluid, so things change.
That's right.
So what I felt that we don't know, maybe the ILP may not be there, maybe there may be another party which
That's
Mr.
right.
Warner
That's right.
himself may join.
That's right, you can never tell.
Good, another caller. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, dear.
Good evening to you and to Mr. Warner.
Good evening.
As you have Mr. Warner there, Mr. Warner, I want to ask there's a question. As a former UNC chairman, when Miss Panday was screened in 2010, could you enlighten us as to why she wasn't chosen as the MP or anything like that?
In 2010, I say for the first time publicly, in 2010, at the screening session, what I realized that no Panday had a chance to be successfully screened. And therefore, Miss Panday, like her uncle, Subhash, before they left the room, they had been rejected.
And Mr. Warner, thank you, caller, thank you for, and Mr. Warner, you're saying that is the same thing
Yes.
that in effect you found happening
Yes.
to yourself.
Yes.
And of course, you believe that it would have probably been different, perhaps under different leader, perhaps under some different format. But of course, the constitution of the UNC was not adhered to, and it's not the first time.
And up to now, eh?
And up to now.
Right.
Mr. Warner, we need to go for a break.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll just stop for a quick break. Please join us soon after. Thank you.